Podcast. So this week I am going to be bringing you something a little bit different than I normally do. And today I want to talk to you about 5 strategies on how you can be an LGBTQ ally. And I'm bringing this to you now because of the horrible tragedy that just happened in Colorado. And other than that, the simple fact that we need to be allies, period, point blank, no question, no argument, no, but why? Okay. So I'm seeing posts everywhere showing support of this tragedy that happened. And while I am certain these posts are appreciated, we need to do more than just fucking post about it. We need to actually take action. And so here are 5 strategies that privileged, cisgender, straight people like myself can respectfully be an ally. Because if you're not using your privilege for good, all you're doing is fueling the fire, and shame on you. So first of all, I'd like to educate anyone that's not aware of what cisgender is. So the exact definition of cisgender is denoting or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender corresponds with their birth sex. So that means I was born female, and therefore my personal identity, because I'm cisgender, has always been female. So when people use that word, that is what they mean. The very first strategy is acknowledge your privilege and use it for good. So I cannot tell you how many people that I've spoken to throughout my life and even today that really struggle and resist this idea that we're privileged because they believe it downplays their own struggle. So I want to be crystal clear with anyone that has trouble accepting that they are privileged in some way, shape, or form. No one is telling you that you haven't faced adversity in your life. No one is telling you that you haven't worked hard for the success that you have. However, the fact that you simply exist as a cisgender person means you have privilege because you've never faced discrimination for your gender. So I'm not responsible for building this fucked up system, but I am responsible for what I do with my knowledge. And that means using my privilege to shut my white, privileged, cisgender, straight female mouth and just listen, commit to hard no's. And guess what? Open fucking doors for other people. And so one way I've used my privilege in my life was when I waited for over a decade, to start my coaching and consulting business, Pow Her, because it wasn't enough for me to build a career that brought me joy, that brought me meaning, and more money than I ever thought I could make in corporate. Because if there was one woman that could fit into that traditional patriarchal boys club, it was me, because of all my privilege. So I intentionally took that next decade after, actually landing in a Global 500 organization in my early 30s. And I said to myself, how can I make sure that this formula for success can work for women from all walks of life? So from that point forward, I switched jobs every 12, 18 to 24 months, very purposely. And it's because I wanted to continually start over and over again to build teams that didn't look, act, or live the way I did, or even have the same values that I did. And this was a way that I could take this formula and ensure that it will work for everyone, because it's not enough for women that just look like me, act like me, and talk like me to get to the top in corporate world, to have the power of making more money and what we can do in these workplaces, because then we would only make them inclusive to women like us. We had to make them inclusive for everyone. So do whatever you can do today to use your privilege for good. Okay. Strategy number 2 is do your own fucking research. So my friends and I ask each other questions all the time that start with, hey, white girl question, or can you educate this cisgender girl about this? And this is something that we've developed as our relationships have strengthened over time. We can be this upfront and direct about it. But I want to be very, very clear here. The only reason I can ask questions like this as someone of privilege is because members of this community that are my friends have openly shared their experiences with me before voluntarily without being prompted. So unless you have this kind of strong relationship with someone in the LGBTQ community that has, again, without prompting, openly shared their story, you have no fucking business asking people to relive their trauma, just to validate their existence for your own understanding. I mean, would you want someone out of the blue asking you about your creepy uncle experience or the abusive boyfriend? You know, that adversity that you face that you can hide from the world? Hint, hint, hint. Another point on privilege here. So take the time to do your own research and surround yourself with people that don't look like you, that don't think like you, that don't act like you, that don't love the way you love. You will be amazed at what you're going to learn by simply coexisting with people that are different than you. Strategy number 3. This one's really important because I think there is a lot of people that are obviously trying to accomplish strategies 1 and strategy 2, but they have a lot of fear. And I'm here to tell you, you're going to fuck this up. Because being a cisgender straight person, we have no idea what it's like to walk a mile in the shoes of someone in the LGBTQ community. So if you're just starting on this journey of educating yourself, or if you've been a lifelong ally like myself, you are still going to fuck up. I promise you, you're going to make a mistake. And despite what some people might think, being an ally to the LGBTQ community isn't just as simple as saying, you know what, I'm not a homophobe. In fact, there's a lot of nuances involved in forging these positive relationships. And as an ally, you've got to be open to feedback, my friend, from people in this community, because making mistakes is part of life. And it doesn't make you a terrible person. If you say something out of turn or you ask a question that's offensive and they call you out on your shit, you need to be open to that feedback and you say, thank you so much for educating me. And you take that and you make sure you never make that mistake again. So again, when someone calls you out for doing something that hurts someone that's marginalized, do not be defensive. Do not try to argue. Apologize and do better next time. Okay. Strategy number 4. So we all just went through Thanksgiving and many of us returned to those small rural towns that we all came from. And it seemed inevitable that someone at that dinner table brought up something controversial. And when this happened last week, if you did not call them out, then shame on you, because strategy number 4 is speak up, right? Speaking up when people in your friends and family circle say shit that they don't understand, educate them. You are in the perfect person to educate them. This moment is gold that you can actually make such a huge difference in this person's life, because I feel that there's tons and tons of hate in this world. Please don't get me wrong, but I feel for the most part, most people want to do the right thing. And when they say shit that's out of turn and they say stuff that's offensive, they truly don't know any better and they need education. In the workplace, as a powerful, badass executive woman that you are, you can have your organization go beyond showing support just during Pride Month and extend this visibility year round. You can ensure that your hiring practices are inclusive and you can educate your board. But please be clear, do not go around patting your LGBTQ coworkers on the back saying, oh, you're just beautiful just the way you are in your daily touch base. Don't do this. You can start with the most simplest thing in the world, and that's you can affirm someone's identity by listening, by just showing up and treating this person as if they're like everyone else. Because guess what? We are all human beings. There is nothing different about, we all have that in common. We are all humans. Let's treat each other as such. And your fifth strategy that you can do today is you can get involved. We can use our platforms to amplify the voices of marginalized people. We can show solidarity and support in important movements. And we can demonstrate that through our content creation. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm recording this podcast to get involved, to use this platform to reach people, to use my privilege for good. And we can take this even a step further by we can get involved to show our support. We can find local organizations and volunteer your time, donate money. And there are countless organizations that you can get involved in. I have listed some major ones in the show notes here. So definitely bookmark this episode, go to the show notes and click through these links and choose a local organization to get involved with today. So with all of this being said, these 5 strategies that I've talked to you about today all come from the mind of an ally of the LGBT community. And I had tons of people review my theology that are in the LGBTQ community. But I want to be crystal clear once again. I am a white, cisgender, straight woman, and I have so much shit to continue to learn. I continue to learn what I should and should not be doing, what I should and should not be saying. So if I have said anything in this podcast today that did not speak to the community correctly or whatever I have missed, please go to your email, open an email and send me an email to info@claimyourpowher. Again, that's info@claimyourpowher.com and let me know what I missed. Give me this feedback and I will use that, and I will obviously learn from my mistakes, just like we did in strategy number 3. And I will make sure that I continue to revamp this message and do everything I can to support this community.